Across Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity. As we get the top stories tonight. President Tinubu appoints Taiwo Oyedele as Minister of State for Finance. Ahead of National Convention, ruling APC holds congresses across the country to constitute state leadership. Iran rejects talks, warns of wider escalation of conflicts if U.S. and Israel choose to stay passive.
In business, Petroan raises alarm over refining capacity as global tensions threaten fuel supply.
And in sports, Nigeria Super Falcons defeats the Lionesses of Cameroon 3-1 in Yaoundé in the second leg of their pre-WAFCON international friendly.
We have details in a moment. Thanks for joining us. President Bola Tinubu has appointed tax reform expert Taiwo Oyedele as Minister of State for Finance. He replaces Dr. Doris Uzoka-Anite, who shifts to Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, her third portfolio in the administration. Tinubu sent the nomination to the Senate today for confirmation. Oyedele was until now chairman of Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, overhauling Nigeria's tax system. Professor Ken Ife is a development consultant and economist. He joins me now for this conversation on the appointment of Taiwo Oyedele. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Let's take your overall thoughts on this shift in appointment in this administration for the person of Oyedele.
Thank you for having me. Oyedele has proved his mettle. He's a square peg in a square hole. And I'm delighted that he's taken on this job. And nobody could have been better prepared than him after working through 4 acts: the Nigerian Tax Act, the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, the Nigerian Revenue Act as well, the new revenue replacement of the IRS, FIRS, and then, of course, the joint board, the joint tax board. So all of that coming out in force this January, it needs to be implemented. So it's best to let him go ahead and give it. And in fact, when I met with him during the NEC meeting 2 weeks ago with all the governors, I told him that there's still an area that he has to look into, which is the Fiscal Responsibility Act, because that is what governs budget process and all that. And we were both on the same page. So I know that he's fully charged and he knows what he has to do, because that's where debt management crisis and all of that. And in fact, I'm really delighted that he's going to get this post, not least Mrs. Dr. Uzoka, because she's also erudite. And I'm really glad she's going to national planning to clean up some of the challenges that we have there. She has a good experience on budgeting. Even there, she made her own presentation on why we need to also incorporate investment budgeting. So it is a very balanced. And the other thing is that these two are less political than the others. Let the others go and get involved in the politics of 2027 and let them take hold of this governance and sort it out.
With this new appointment, should we be worried that his job as a tax reform chairman would suffer setback? Or let's put it better, wouldn't his new appointment affect the implementation of the National Tax Policy and the Fiscal Responsibility Act?
No, this is the other way around. He's going into this position. What else is he going to do? He had done the act. The act is in force. All that he needs to do is to implement it. So he understands the ramifications of this act, and I've given you evidence. So he's the right guy to deliver this act. But what he also will do is that he's going to have Annual Finance Act 2027, 2028 to keep on smoothing the edges in this body of acts. So there will be more. There is even one that is waiting, which is the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007 that has been amended but are waiting passage. So he's going to sort all that out. So it's very, very important. And I don't think that failure will be an option with Professor Oyedele, because he understands he's right on the ball. I have no fear at all that he will deliver it. So that's what he needs. The instrument he needs is to continue to use the Finance Act to modify anything he wants to modify. So that's fine.
Okay, let's talk about how his appointment is reflecting on President Tinubu's economic priorities. Does it signal a shift in direction or Nigeria's fiscal policy direction?
No, I think he's moving from theory to practice. And then he's mindful of the weakness. You look at the chaos we had last year on budget and budget implementation. And I think now we are much more confident that they're going to be in safe and steady hands. And we are going to run away just because before they pass it, I'm sure they're going to tinker more with that budget and then sort out the other thing. Because FRC is being ignored. It needs to be empowered because that's where all the fiscal law that governs public finance management is. So, and it hasn't been done. It's an uncompleted job, and he needs to deal with it. For example, some of the things there that in 2008, 2007, when it was enacted, it was meant to be mandatory, but they said no. Let's do it optional. Let the states domesticate it. Only 25 states have domesticated it today. Then there are so many ratios that needs to be there. Only one ratio was allowed by those House of Rep. They only allowed a budget deficit to GDP ratio. But then there are many others, debt to GDP for state, for federal, for so many things that have not been done in the thing. So there's so many, and then there's no punitive measure and the penalties that will compel compliance. So he knows all that because I raised those things with him, and he knows that those are where the lacuna. Look at the way we are budgeting, and then look at the loans. The loans don't have any cost-benefit analysis to actually show that it is going to go to productive activity. And if you are borrowing money for non-productive activity, then it's a recipe for disaster. So he is aware. Both of them are aware of the real flashpoint of our fiscal mismanagement.
Professor Ife, you really have very good words to say about Taiwo Oyedele. We do wish him well in his appointment. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, some politics. Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC in Lagos State, Cornelius Ojelabi, has retained his seat for another term. At the party's state congress held Tuesday in Lagos, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu praised the peaceful conduct of the exercise and charged the newly affirmed executives to remain united and focused ahead of future electoral contest. News Center's Victor Mbadike reports.
Over 2,000 accredited delegates from across 57 local government areas and local council development areas of Lagos converged on the venue in colorful attires to participate in the state congress. Ahead of the exercise, a consensus arrangement had been adopted with a harmonized list presented to delegates, eliminating the need for a full-scale ballot contest. One after the other, the names of the proposed executives were announced, with Cornelius Ojelabi retaining his position as state chairman.
The chairman, Honorable Cornelius Ojelabi, the deputy chairman, Moshood Olariwaju Mayego, the state secretary, Honorable Adiola Tokoba.
I stand before you today, deeply honored by the trust and confidence you have once again placed on me to serve as the party chairman of APC Lagos State for another term.
We have a single and a common purpose to ensure that the party formation, the party structure in our state is the best and is next to none.
The affirmation process was swift as delegates responded with a resounding chorus of approval.
What we did was more of an affirmation because they had an affirmative list, a list that was done in consensus and close consultation with the critical stakeholders of the party. And so that's why the elections or the exercise was very coordinated, very short, very brief, but very effective and will be very effective.
With the unanimous affirmation of the consensus list, the the APC in Lagos has signaled continuity in its leadership structure, returning Cornelius Ojolabi for another term as state party chairman. Party leaders said the peaceful conduct of the Congress reflects internal unity, as the newly affirmed executives are now expected to steer the party's affairs and consolidate its dominance in the state. From the venue of the Congress here in Lagos, for News Central, Victor Badeke.
Thank you, Victor. The All Progressive Congress in Delta State has elected its new state executives. However, former Deputy President of the 9th Senate, Senator Ovie Omoagege, NDDC Board Chairman Chiedu Ibie, Senator representing Delta North Senatorial District, Senator Ned Woko, Chairman, House Committee on NDDC, and member representing Etiop Federal Constituency, Erietake Ibori Swenu, were among the dignitaries conspicuously absent during the State Congress held in Asaba, the Delta State capital. News Central's correspondent Austin has monitored the exercise and brings in this report.
Party leaders and stakeholders from across the 270 wards, 25 local government areas of Delta State converged on Cenotaph in Asaba for the APC Congress. A motion for the dissolution of the Adgon State Working Committee was moved by the former Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly, Victor Oche, and was seconded by Otega Emero, which was unanimously adopted by party delegates to pave the way for the election of the new state leaders.
Those who say yes, shout it out.
Chairman of the State Congress Electoral Committee, Vita Abba, who declared the new executive elected after the affirmation by delegates, said the affirmation process was conducted in line with the party's constitution and guidelines.
I hereby declare them elected, and they stand elected.
Newly elected APC State Chairman and former PDP State Chairman Solomon Areyinka thanked party leaders and members for their trust, while Governor Sheriff Oborewori urged the new leaders to brace up ahead of 2027 elections.
Let me conclude my brief remarks with a firm assurance to all of you that we shall always strive to ensure the unity and progress of our party. We must deepen unity, intensify grassroots mobilization, expand voters' registration efforts, and strengthen our structures across all wards and local governments.
Party faithful have this to say about the exercise and the absentees.
I would describe this Congress as first peaceful, and I'm even surprised at the turnout of Deltans who came not just to witness but to be part of the Congress.
Maybe they are busy, but I know they are not aggrieved. If they are aggrieved, they'll speak their mind. But you can see that the Congress is very peaceful.
What we used to have as the old APC and new APC have fused together. Everybody is happy, it's peaceful, well attended. People I have not seen for a very, very long time, all coming together in a very convivial atmosphere.
The outcome of this APC Congress in Delta State will obviously shape the political landscape in Delta State in the coming days. In Delta, for News Central, Austin Azu.
My colleagues were all out today covering the congresses across the country. Chinwe Ugele in Abia State, Austin Azu, we just saw him from Delta State, and we had Umaru Kirawa joining him from Borno State. We will be speaking to them in a bit, right after this break. Glad you're still with us. Let's now speak to my colleagues from across the country who have been covering this APC congresses. I'll start with you, Austin. Just give us, we saw your report already, huge attendance and all that, but what stood out for you about this particular Congress?
Okay, good evening, Felicity. Of course, the most important thing from this year's Congress, from the APC, it has not been like this over the past few years in the state here. Each time APC have such events, it usually turns a different thing. From the respondents, one can confirm that, yes, it was peaceful and it was adjudged as transparent. Of course, we have large numbers of these delegates from across the state. Of course, from the 270 wards, they all converged here in Asaba. And it was quite interesting, like what someone said, that equally provided them a lot of opportunity for them to rekindle and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, from the ward level down to the local government level, down to the state level, it has not been easy as well. There are some persons in the APC in the state here who have expressed diverse opinions about the congresses that have took place within these past few weeks. And of course, they are expressing concerns about marginalization. Some of them are equally complaining about intimidation and so on and so forth. So from the Congress we witnessed today, we saw a large numbers who came for this exercise. But however, there are distinctive voices who are still complaining elsewhere who did not attend this particular Congress. And of course, we don't know what will turn out. But however, during the local government Congress, we saw in some places where they had some parallel Congresses. However, it was debunked by the outgone APC State Working Committee. But that's notwithstanding that a lot of persons who claim that they are not happy with the process are not going to take alternative means of taking over or whatever. They're going to, address their challenges. But let me say this: the publicity secretary of the party, that's the national publicity secretary, that's Moka, actually said that those who are aggrieved from the ward level down to the local government level and upward to the state level congresses, that they have a mechanism that it has been put in place to address their grievances. Okay. But by and large, it was adjudged as being peaceful, and they're looking forward for them to go to the national to do what they have replicated, to replicate what they have done here in the state at the national level. So back to you, Felicity.
Chinwe, was that a similar experience for you in Abia State, or there was something different? As briefly as you can, please.
Well, in the case of Abia State, it was different because this is the first time Abia State APC will hold a Congress, and there's no parallel Congress. So it is one Congress from the ward to the state level, and everybody, even though all of them weren't present, but they had representatives and who were informed that they were all part of the harmonization of the people, the executives that have emerged from the Congress. So they were just announced, and people accepted that those are the people who they actually selected from the different wards, different local governments, and up to the state level. So it was quite peaceful, and this is the very first time. Remember, Abia State is not an APC state, but then what happens today is quite instructive and should, somehow send some kind of message out there to the people who have been watching political situation in the state.
All right, thank you very much, Austin, Chinwe, and Umar. Let's move on now and bring you the latest with the case with Chimamanda. The Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria has suspended 3 doctors following the death of Nkanu Adichie Esege, son of writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. The council's investigative panel found a prima facie case of medical negligence in his treatment. Nkanu died on January 7, 2026, after complications during preparatory procedures. His family later issued a legal notice alleging professional misconduct. Those suspended include Era Care's medical director, Tunde Majekonduni, anesthesiologist Titus Ogundare, and Atlantis Hospital's chief medical officer, Tinubu Appoints. The panel also cited both facilities in its findings. The practitioners are barred from medical practice pending determination by the Medical and Dental Practitioners Disciplinary Tribunal. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has reaffirmed commitment to credible, transparent, and technology-driven elections ahead of the 2027 general polls. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amopiton was speaking at the 2026 Citizens Town Hall Electoral Act in Abuja. Petroan said electoral integrity remained central to national development and global confidence. He said Nigeria was determined to reshape global perceptions through institutional performance under the 2026 law. Petroan, however, cautioned that it may not be able to guarantee a 100% perfect election. Dr. Sam Amadi is a political and policy expert. He joins me for this conversation alongside the chieftain of the ADC, Niyi Adams. Gentlemen, thank you for obliging us. I'll begin with you, Dr. Amadi. I mean, you've warned Nigerians not to trust INEC on technologically driven elections in 2027. What is your reason?
Thank you for having me. I mean, INEC developed commendably good technology, keep piloting it. I mean, there's been a build-up from card reader. And then when we saw the problem with card reader, INEC went into the bimodal capture machine system, BIVAS, which now guarantees credibility, accreditation, and the court has accepted that if votes are more, final results are more than the number accredited, that is disregarded. And INEC went for the 2022 to think around the fact that the last, if you like, the last man standing in terms of rigging of election, electoral malpractices, seem to be that after voting and counting, our results, signed off and given to agents, before you get to collection center, the magic starts. Numbers change, people smuggling fake results, INEC announced fake results. So INEC developed a system that kind of says, we transmit it from, once that is done, we transmit to electronic storage, and then also to INEC, which is a viewing portal. Then we collect manual. And so in 2023, all this worked up until 2023. It worked in office election and government election in 2023. 23 presidential election, it worked for the House of Reps and Senate, which we are held at the same time. For the presidency, it didn't work. Polling officers reported they had the wrong password, they couldn't log in, they couldn't transmit, they were shut out. INEC did not offer any explanation, good, coherent word. At the tribunal, INEC says there must be a glitch. Of course, AVS, the Amazon Web Services, that hosts INEC's.
Dr. Amadi, we have a bit of a challenge with your audio, so I'll just pause and come back to you in a minute. Let me bring in Mr. Adams and just ask him ask your general thoughts about the comments made by the INEC boss. He says, on the one hand, they will give Nigeria the best election come 2027, even though he acknowledges that there might be challenges here and there. But there was something he said very clearly. He said, regarding the glitch that was blamed for issues in 2023, let me be clear, the glitch is eliminated. It will not surface again. As a party, what is your level of confidence in the assurances being given?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, viewers. Basically, I don't think our party, ADC, I don't think we're so different from the perception of Nigerians about INEC. And the perception is clear, it's very clear. The jury is out there. They give us, every time election is coming, they give the populace high promises, very big promises, but low delivery. So if they are now coming now again to tell us that the glitches are not going to reoccur, what do we know that is going to occur? It's unfortunate that at this time of our nation, we're still battling with electoral integrity. We are still battling with basic things that we ought to have overcome. Let me take you, even he himself, the INEC chairman, cannot even guarantee 100% credible elections. He said it's like a kind of flip-flop, saying, okay, in one vein, I'm going to deliver very credible election. In another vein, he's saying, I cannot guarantee it. Again, he himself said that the confidence of the people is very low, that there's a trust issue. Why would there be trust issues? when you keep promising and you always fail to deliver. Look at the issue. Look at the issue of the election that was just held in Abuja. Can that be said to be very credible? Honestly speaking.
Mr. Adams, we haven't had Professor Petroan as INEC boss. This is his first rodeo in that capacity. So wouldn't it be fair to give him a benefit of doubt in 30 seconds if you can?
We've had different INEC chairmen. And I believe that government is a continuum. So it's not going to bring in something different. It's still the same thing. It's always the same. Whether it's Professor Jega, whether it's whatever, it's always the same. They come here, they come to us, they tell us this is what we are going to give you. At the end of the day, what do they deliver? High promises, almost zero delivery.
All right.
You can imagine what Dr. Amadi was saying, that, look, in 2023, we had 3 elections on the same day. The presidential election, we had the House of Reps election, and the senatorial election. There was no glitch for the Senate. There was no glitch for the House of Reps. How come there was a glitch for the presidency? Even Amazon, the people that developed the, came to testify that thing was not from their hand. So how come? So who's going to give them the benefit of that?
Let's speak to Dr. Amadi before we let you guys go. I want you to talk, finish your thoughts quickly. We were trying to make before the network interrupted. And then I want you to speak to Mopita's plan to conduct a mock presidential election and the viability of that in the time frame with all the issues that they have to take care of before the elections.
Okay, so quickly, the point I'm making is that INEC sabotaged the technology. There has been no public hearing or inquest on oaths. What should have happened after 2023 was to bring National Assembly bipartisan and take them on oath. What happened? So if, for example, you developed a good technology, spent $205 billion to do that, and you sabotage it at the presidential level and tell all kinds of stories, it's the same INEC who went to tribunal to say our regulation on transmission is optional, it's not binding. And that made the court say electronic transmission is not optional. So what has changed in INEC that gives you assurance? So for me, if I was a leader of any political party, the minimum to participate is an independent audit and verification. Like I said in that program, INEC has not told us who procures these beavers. The last we heard was it was a former APC senator. How is it secured? Even in the US, you see the issues around domino ballot boxes, voting system. They had to demonstrate, even went to court, to prove that their system is foul-proof. INEC has not shown, and the parties have not demanded. You're going to election, and you're not sure, and they say, yeah, on the other parts in 30 seconds. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Abapichan, for example, didn't show confidence. Even Mahmoud was more confident, showed more gravitas. It doesn't seem to me, with due respect, as somebody who can push back on established political manipulation of election in Nigeria. See, Nigerian politicians don't like free and fair elections. So the umpire who can deliver must be somebody who is ready to fight, push back, disappoint politicians. The guy I saw yesterday didn't inspire me as somebody who took the brief from previous commissioners and who is ready to go. My prediction, except work very hard, the political parties, is that this will be the worst election in recent times. I can tell you that because the INEC is doing nothing. Look at the fight over electronic transmission.
Amadi, I'm afraid I have to interject. Thank you so much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time and the insight you've provided, as well as Mr. Adams. We appreciate your time as well. All right. As activities continue to mark the celebration of women this March, a new book advocating confidence, equality, and bold ambition has been unveiled in Lagos, titled No More Shrinking. The book will debut alongside a live stage experience on March 28 at Terra Culture in Victoria Island. News Centre's Emmanuel Olubobokun was at the briefing and filed this report.
It was an atmosphere of excitement and purpose as organizers officially unveiled No More Shrinking, a book that speaks boldly against the culture of diminishing women's voices and ambitions. The author says the project is more than just pages bound together, but a movement designed to inspire women to step forward unapologetically and occupy spaces traditionally dominated by men. Beyond the book launch, audiences will witness a stage adaptation that dramatizes real-life struggles, victories, and the triumph of resilience.
Improvement begins with awareness, and so the play helps to show them, to put a mirror in front of them, so that they have that awareness. And it doesn't end with awareness. It is also about now taking the next step, so that we have more women who are actively driving innovation.
The message will come alive on stage in a theatrical adaptation described as a powerful blend of storytelling, music, and drama. The director says the production is designed to inspire courage and spark conversations.
The story is simple. Showcase the strength of the women, and not because they are better than men, but just showcase the fact that women too can do it.
Cast members say portraying these roles has been both challenging and empowering, as the narrative mirrors realities men and women face daily in workplaces, homes, and communities.
This time around is it's a different form. We're talking to women not to shrink. So the character I play is coming out of where she is and not shrinking, and I'm hoping that I speak to many women from this stage experience. The whole process of reading your lines and getting into the book, I got to realize that, wow, okay, I'm actually going to be representing a lot of women who, feel like they had to shrink themselves to make, other people feel more comfortable, make their lights more digestible, to other people, just so that they don't look like they're doing too much, or they're too proud, or they're too, whatnot.
Organizers say the March 28th event is intentionally aligned with Women's Month celebrations, a reminder that women are not just equal, but exceptional, capable of breaking barriers and redefining sources. In Lagos, for News Central, Emmanuel Olubobokun.
Ahmad University, Amizi, Ikwano local government area of Abia State, has conducted its second matriculation ceremony for fresh intakes for the 2025-2026 academic session. The ceremony attracted dignitaries from the academia and was witnessed by family and friends of the matriculating students. My colleague Chinwe Ugele reports.
In the very serene atmosphere, fresh undergraduates marching into their destinies with their admission into the institution. The admission came with a charge by the Vice Chancellor of Amadeus University, Professor Samuel Nzota, urging them to live above board.
You must strive to achieve a remarkable level of success at the end of your studentship in this university. You will resist any forms of deviant behavior and distractions that will derail the attainment of the goals you have set with your parents and guidance.
Representatives from other universities, the JAMB Registrar, the Abia State Commissioner for Tertiary Education, all had goodwill messages for the institution.
Establishing and nurturing a university is no small feat. It requires vision, sacrifice, and an unwavering belief in the power of knowledge.
JAMB is proud of Amadeus University. To the university management, you are doing well. Great things are happening here.
The founder and chairman of Amadeus University, Dr. Godwin Wabunka, urged the visitors to feel free to make suggestions that can improve the institution. Although a new university, the management has set its eyes on innovations such as artificial intelligence to drive the goal of the university and produce graduates fit for employment.
The world no longer requires graduates just by name. It needs thinkers, great leaders, innovators, and problem solvers.
Admission is not the finish line. It is the starting line.
You want to make sure that it's discipline. You want to make sure that it's a learning opportunity that is driven by research, innovation, and the needs of society. Academia exists to respond to the needs of industry and academia. So it's a work in progress.
We are totally prepared to work together to take Ahmadu to the highest heights in the world of education.
Students and parents say they are happy to be part of the journey of Ahmadeus, hoping that their ultimate goal of being educated will be achieved.
I really want to achieve a lot, not just being a best student or best graduate student, but able to defend my course of study, which is nursing science.
Ahmadeus University is such a nice university with so much facilities, and the lecturers are doing so well.
Ahmadeus University has in this session added medicine and surgery, law and pharmacy to the already existing 19 courses under 7 faculties. In Abia for News Central, Chinwe Ugeli.
To the Middle East now, where the world's attention is presently focused. Iran's foreign ministry has warned of a wider escalation of the conflict it is embroiled in with Israel and the United States if countries choose to stay passive. In Tehran, Guards spokesman Ali Mohammed Naini said attacks would intensify moment by moment. Iran has also warned Germany, Britain and France against joining the conflict after the three signaled readiness to curb Tehran's missile capabilities. Tonight returns with business, sports and entertainment. Do stay with us.
In business, oil marketers under the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, Petroan, have warned that escalating military tensions involving the United States, Iran and Israel could disrupt petrol supply and continue to raise pump prices in Nigeria. Citing National President Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry, the association said sustained conflict could push crude prices above $100 per barrel, intensifying pressure on domestic fuel costs, foreign exchange stability and inflation. The crisis, which began on February 28, 2026, has rattled global energy markets and shipping routes, particularly the Strait of Hormuz. And about equities markets, it extended its upward drift as the all-share index gained 0.57% to close at 196,621 points, pushing market capitalization to 126.21 trillion naira. Well, it wasn't an explosive session, but momentum remained firmly intact. And about sectoral performance, we see that the banking sector inched up 0.04%, largely flat, as heavyweights traded steadily without dramatic swings. Insurance advanced 1.55%, sustaining the renewed buying interests and adding quiet support to the broader market. Oil and gas surged 4.52%. Once again, the engine room of the rally, with strong demands keeping the sector firmly in control. We see that consumer goods climbed 0.88%. Industrial goods added 0.17%, which actually posed a mild gain that reinforced overall stability. That's all on business. I am Likon Obanjo.
In sports, Nigeria's women's national team, the Super Falcons, returned to winning ways with a 3-1 victory over Cameroon at Yaounde's military stadium, bouncing back from a 1-0 defeat in their previous friendly. Cameroon took an early lead in the 7th minute, but Nigeria equalized in the 32nd minute through Chinwendu Ihezuo, assisted by Tamisola Babajide. Babajide then scored in the 43rd minute to give Nigeria a 2-1 lead at halftime, with Michel Alozie adding a third in the 64th minute. The Super Falcons dominated possession and controlled the game defensively after taking the lead. The match forms part of Nigeria's preparations for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco, where they will face Malawi, Zambia and Egypt starting on the 17th of March. Now, with 100 days remaining until kickoff, FIFA President Gianni Infantino has delivered an emphatic message about unity, scale and historic significance ahead of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Speaking from Zurich, the FIFA boss underlined why the 2026 tournament to be hosted by the United States, Canada and Mexico will redefine global football. Infantino emphasized the tournament's staggering global reach, saying that the numbers are impressive and the emotional impact of the tournament even more significant. According to the FIFA president, ticket requests have surpassed 500 million, despite only 6 to 7 million tickets being available. Now, the official mascots of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, Maple, Zayu, and Clutch, appeared at the Empire State Building in New York to mark 100 days until kickoff. The landmark's lights rotated in the colors of Canada, Mexico, and the United States, symbolizing the three host nations. The event featured senior representatives from U.S. Soccer, Canada Soccer, the Mexican Football Federation, and the New York, New Jersey Host Committee. Maple, a red moose goalkeeper, represents Canada. Zayu, a Jaguar striker, symbolizes Mexico. And Clutch, a bald eagle midfielder, embodies the United States. The expanded 48-team tournament begins on the 11th of June in Mexico City and concludes on the 19th of July in New Jersey. And that's a wrap on Sports Update. I am Udoka Njoko.
And now in entertainment, despite a 4-year sentence tied to federal charges, Sean Diddy Combs has seen a slight legal breakthrough as his prison release date was moved up amidst ongoing appeal efforts. Recent reports show the judge granted a minor win for the defense, limiting the period Diddy must serve while his appeal continues to be heard. The shifting release timeline comes as his legal team fights elements of the conviction and seeks a full reversal. Fans and critics alike are closely watching the high-profile case, which has dominated headlines and sparked debates around justice, celebrity influence, and legal systems handling of complex appeals. Now, in fact, a representative from his team said that Diddy is, of course, participating in a residential drug abuse program, which is helping his case. And this is interesting because dates have changed twice. I mean, initially it was pushed back because he violated multiple prison rules, but I guess he's now going to be released earlier. Well, we're watching to see how this one pans out. But that's the biggest story in entertainment. I'm Sam Dandy.
And that's our offering tonight. As always, we'll appreciate your feedback and your eyewitness report. Please share them with the numbers showing now on your screen. We're on social media at News Central TV. You can use that as well. We're live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Evo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for being here.